This is China, and this is the USA, and for the last couple of decades, they have been the bestest of friends, shaking hands, patting each other on the back, and bullying the rest of the world with their big guns, wallets, and... Okay, I lied. These two large, big, fat pieces of land on our planet Earth are home to the first and second largest economies in the world, and aren't exactly the best of friends. And to make things totally better and not challenging in any way whatsoever, the power dynamics in this rocky relationship might be about to change, and sooner than you may have been expecting, with the Chinese economy set to surpass that of the US as soon as 2028. In this Economics in Action video, we're going to look at this change in economic positioning and what this could mean for the global economy going forward. So, we all know the story. For over a century now, the USA has been either one of, or the sole economic heavyweight of the world. Whatever Uncle Sam wants, Uncle Sam gets. On the other side of our virtual coin, we have the extraordinary growth story of China, which got underway in the 1970s and really hit the gas pedal in 2001, after its accession to the World Trade Organization, or WTO for the cool economic folk. The accession into the super cool club that occupies itself with the fun job of regulating the trade of goods and services, among other things, to make sure the flimsy products we sell to each other are not just flimsy, but cheap and flimsy, was kind of a big deal for China. By looking at its growth in exports and GDP, we can see that China really came out to play with the big global players, surpassing the largest European economy in 2007. With this rapid rate of growth, which had consistently outpaced that of the US and any other major developed nation for multiple decades, the question of will the Chinese economy take global top spot turned from will to when. Now, depending on which metric you use, China has already overtaken the USA economically, at least in purchasing power parity terms. You see, in 2017, the Chinese economy became the first economy to be larger than that of the US since the British went around the globe with its frenemies drawing lines around the place with a ruler and pencil. And having a look at these two graphs, we can see that the size of each economy in purchasing power parity terms has only widened ever since, with the Chinese economy $23.5 trillion in size by 2019. So China's economy is larger than that of the USA's. Well, no, not exactly, not yet, but as you're about to find out, that reality is not as far away as it used to be. In August 2020, after a very turbulent and difficult first half of the year, the obvious had been confirmed. Most of the world's economies had registered a second quarter of negative growth, officially indicating a recession. Now, apart from everyone finally joining Venezuela in the Negative Growth for Life club for majorly corrupt states and countries, this was a disaster for everyone, but for some, it was more disastrous than for others. Now, at the time this script is being written, the United States of America is yet to release its full 2020 GDP growth figure, but estimates estimate the estimation of the contraction to be around 5%. And I shouldn't have to be the one to tell you that in any normal non-bat virus year, this figure would be horrific. And if it is to be confirmed, it would indicate a contraction twice as steep as that seen in 2008. As for China, the story is very different. Unlike the majority of countries around the world, China is expected to have grown by 2% in 2020. This isn't a spectacularly high figure by Chinese standards, but given that even the whole world economy can't seem to keep it positive, it's quite a sign of success. This stark contrast in economic outcomes has reignited a theme that has been present in global economics for a good long time now. The dance between a larger but slowly growing US economy and a large but quickly growing Chinese economy. The fight for influence in the global economy through economic and soft power will become more fought over as the grip that the US has on the functioning of the global economy begins to deteriorate and head towards Beijing. But how many years has this process been accelerated by, and what does the change in the world's largest economy mean for the global economy? So, back in the pre-COVID era, most economists had penciled in a year for when the Chinese economy would finally become the largest in the world. Most of these predictions still saw the USA holding on to the top spot for yet another decade longer, and in the case of the Centre of Economics and Business Research, an economics consultancy based in London, this switch was on course to take place in 2033. Now, with the US having fared significantly worse with the various limitations to business that have taken place, particularly in 2020, the switch that so many economists have their eyes on is set to take place 5 years earlier, in 2028. And 5 years is a lot of time. Just think about what you were up to 5 years ago, probably sniffing glue and still playing around with one of those vuvuzelas. So, what does this switch mean for the global economy? Should we all drop our money bags and pick up a sickle and hammer and team up with the Chinese Communist Party? Well, please don't, and no. The gradual switch between the two most economically important countries is exactly that, gradual. The world will not drastically change from one day to the next. It's important to remember that this is a process that is very much underway, and even when the switch occurs, it's still a process in motion. This means that existing economic dependencies are set to change with more nations turning their attention towards the 1.4 billion Chinese consumers. This economic power struggle is likely to have some tension, as areas which the US considers its backyard, most notably countries in Central and Southern America, are increasingly influenced by China. However, there are certain areas of the global economy that economists are more doubtful of when it comes to China taking the global top spot, and one of those areas is the Chinese currency, the renminbi. You see, the Chinese renminbi makes up only 2% of global currency reserves, therefore less than half the amount of the Great British Pound, despite the Chinese economy being more than 5 times larger. This large disparity in use is down to many factors, such as historical use and economic strength, but also stability and confidence. And it's this stability and confidence of China's economy that is of concern to many people across the globe, and results in institutions preferring to hold reserves in freedom bucks, therefore giving the US some brownie points. So, with all this talk about a change to the leaderboard of who's got a fatter wallet, it's important to realize that on per capita terms, the average US citizen will still remain significantly richer than their Chinese counterpart. The improvements to the Chinese economy have been outstanding, and the hundreds of millions of Chinese that have been pulled out of poverty is a true success story. But whatever comes about because of the symbolic change in names at the top of the economic big bucks board, it is perhaps most important that this transition of economic power is peaceful. Hi everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. How do you think this change in economic power is going to pan out? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video, all the good stuff, with all your friends. Also, it's worth pointing out that today's video was based on a report released by the Centre of Economics and Business Research, which I will leave a link to below. Otherwise, take care. Bye.